Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my top 10 receivers in the 2023 draft class. Now, starting off with number 1, we have, of course, Jordan Addison, who I view as a top 10 player in the class overall. Great route runner, he's fast, he has really nice hands, he's willing and able to block despite his size, and he just all around does everything well. He can catch contested balls, he can constantly get open. He can be a deep threat. He can take the defense's attention. The only real knock he has is his size, but I think he's proven that he can be a stud despite that. Number 2 on the list, I have Quentin Johnston out of TCU. Now, he is the opposite. He's a really big receiver, 6'2.5". He's tall, he's really fast, physically gifted. A lot of people view him as the number 1 in the class, but a big concern for me is his effort. I don't see him blocking despite being able to. I don't see him running routes when the ball is not coming to him. But his utter dominance, I just can't ignore it, even if he doesn't have effort when the ball is not coming to him. He takes defense's attention, and he might be the biggest big play threat in this class. He constantly offers the threat of a one-play touchdown from anywhere on the field. Moving on to number 3, I have Jackson Smith-Njigba. Now, Smith-Njigba doesn't have the high-end speed, but other than that, he basically does everything else well. He's a really nice route runner, consistent, strong hands. His speed is solid, and he's got good quickness. He's agile. He can juke people out. He can run past them. He was able to produce very well at Ohio State with Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave on the team. He was able to outproduce both of them. A big concern is that he mainly played in the slot, but I think with his size and ability, he can easily play both inside and outside. And even if he is just a slot player, he's going to be a stud at the NFL level. Number 4 is going to be an interesting one for a lot of people because it's Kayshon Boutte out of LSU. Now, this is ignoring the potential off-field issues because I don't really know anything about them and I don't like to include them in my grades. But putting those aside, this dude is very talented. It jumps out on tape. Even when he's not putting up great stats, he's still running nice routes. He's catching the ball. He's dominant after the catch. He can break tackles. He looks like a running back when he has the ball in his hand. He has nice speed, nice twitch. He does have drop issues from time to time, but all in all, he still has solid hands and he can make contested catches. Moving on to number 5, it's another very physically talented player, and it's Zay Flowers. He might be the most shifty. He probably is the most shifty player in the class. He can make people miss. He's got really good speed. I don't think he's the fastest receiver in the class, but nobody can match him in terms of being shifty. The route running is really solid. He can create separation with the best of them. His hands are pretty good. He's not a contested catch receiver. He rarely drops the ball. He catches it pretty consistently. The main concern with him is going to be his size. Some people think he'll struggle against press coverage and that he lacks NFL strength, which also brings up the question about his run blocking ability. But he still profiles a really good slot receiver, and he's just, in general, a weapon for teams to go after. At number 6, I have Jalen Hyatt. Now, he's fast. He's real fast. He's a deep threat. I know he didn't run a great 40, but he's still really fast. He's got track speed. He has reliable hands and solid route running, which nobody ever gives him credit for. But he's still a pretty complete player, even though he wasn't asked to run a very big route tree at Tennessee. His size is a little small for a receiver, but it's also serviceable. He's capable at throwing blocks. My big concern is that he wasn't that elusive, so he's not really going to make people miss that often, despite his speed. And he also played a lot of slot in college. So it's not going to be the easiest transition to the NFL. He'll have to learn a much bigger route tree, but he's very talented and I think he's capable of making the transition. Now, at number 7, it's someone that I think a lot of people would be surprised that I have him this high, and it's Parker Washington out of Penn State. When I watched him, he just jumped out of the tape. He looks like a diamond in the rough to me. Now, he is only 5'10", but he's 204 pounds, and he's so quick. He might not have the best straight line speed. He's got great feet quickness. He can run routes really well. He can make people miss. And he's strong. He can run through people. He's like a running back when he gets the ball. And he also happens to have really great hands. He can make contested catches. He can catch the ball very consistently. The only real knock I have on him is his height and the lack of volume that he had at Penn State, and he can't control either. I'm a really big fan of his, and he might be rising up my draft board even more. Josh Downs is going to be my number 8 player. Now, a lot of people won't be happy that I have him this low, but personally, I value blocking relatively high, and he really didn't offer any level of blocking. But great hands, very quick feet. He has the ability to make a man miss. He's got that agility. He doesn't have the high-end speed that someone his size is really expected to have, although he is still really fast. Another big issue I had with him is how easily he gets tackled. For a guy who a lot of people would consider a yards after catch guy, he's always tackled after first contact. But outside of that, he's a good route runner, and again, great hands. He can create separation, he can catch the ball, he can be a deep threat, or make tough catches, and he's a really good contested catch receiver. So while I do have him graded lower, I'm still a big fan of his. Number 9, a member of my top 5 sleepers video is going to be Marvin Mims out of Oklahoma. He's another guy who I immediately thought was a diamond in the rough. He's got great speed. He has some issues dropping the ball, but I think in general he still has reliable hands. His route running and footwork are solid, and he also happens to be a pretty solid blocker, despite being 5'11", 175. But he also adds another element as a possible punt returner. Moving on to number 10, I have Michael Wilson out of Stanford. Now, watching him, I was so angry at Stanford, at Tanner McKee, at their play callers, because he looks so good, but they just did not use him. He's 6'2", 213, really good size for a wide receiver. He's physical and great after the catch. The straight line speed isn't great, as seen by his high 4.5 40-yard dash, but he still has really quick feet, and he's elusive. And that kind of makes up for his straight line speed in most areas of his game. He has great balance. He can break tackles. He might have a drop every once in a while. It's not common. And he's a really good contested catch receiver. He's really good at catching the tight window passes. The big concern with him is the injuries. He's dealt with really serious injuries on multiple occasions. He's missed a lot of games. And he also wasn't given a huge workload at Stanford, mainly because of the injuries, but also because Stanford's offense was really bad. But I think his play style projects really nicely. I think he could be a high volume receiver at the NFL level, and I think he's going to be a mid to late round steal. Thank you for watching.